And good morning to everyone. The NDIA administrative tribunals has sent out an apology to people who lodged complaints. I read this in the NDIS email list that Adam Morris runs. In there, it said that the lawyer wasn't aware that the client of the NDIS was not on hold. She thought he was on hold and couldn't hear the lawyer, but the lawyer was laughing and making fun of the client. Now, this is not new or isolated. I went to the tribunals years ago because I really needed a accessible talking microwave oven. I was told by the different advocacy organisations that they will make it as hard as possible so you just give up and go away and won't make a claim. And this is what happened to me personally. I got up there. I've been trying to make my normal everyday use microwave oven accessible by using braille dots. I also use got some Velcro, cut that up into small pieces, glued that onto the front. After a while, they would fall off. And if I made a mistake pressing the wrong button, I'd have to go down and hit the clear button and start going through the buttons and counting presses and all the other nice things you have to do when you can't see a thing. Now, I've been doing this or doing that for quite a few years. I also tried using different apps for people who are blind or vision impaired, and that didn't work either. But again, I was forced to redo these for at least 3 months using braille dots or a tactile marker on the front of a normal microwave oven, even though I've been trying for years. And I had to get an OT to come up, show me how to use it and put the braille dots on, and they all fell off like I said they would and have been doing for years. When I finally got all the way up into the complaint, and there was a meeting between myself, the tribunal, the NDIS or the NDIA lawyer, and I had an advocate that was sitting into the conversation with me, and the NDIA lawyer said to me, "Oh, we got staff who are vision impaired, and they don't like the voice on the talking microwave oven, and their family members don't like the voice of the talking microwave oven, so no, you cannot have one." So I replied, "Well, what's that got to do with me? What other people do? I'm talking about myself." And so, plus, of course, your staff are going to say that you're paying their wages. They're going to side with you. And when I made that statement, the NDIA lawyer went, "Oh, I find that offensive." And the lady from the tribunal said, "You have to apologise." That was like 4 or 5 years ago. They're still waiting for an apology, and they will never get one. Now, like I said, this is not new, it's not isolated. They do this all of the time to discourage people making complaints. We all know it. We all know it. So it's, I was told by different advocacy agencies, this is what they do. And other things I applied for, they said no to as well because they're an everyday item. And as I pointed out, for me, it's not an everyday item, it's a multi-purpose tool when I was talking about my iPhone. And they said, no, it's an everyday item. And I said, well, if I was sighted, if I wasn't blind, I would have the cheapest phone you could get because I wouldn't need all the extra apps and different functions. So it's not an everyday item. But, this is what they do. So when I read that email from the email list and the lawyer was making fun of the client and the client wasn't actually on hold, was listening in, why that lawyer was not fired, I hope they were fired. I really do. But most likely not if they were good at what they were doing. And I know, when I went to the tribunal, I actually said to this lawyer, well, you can go home and say, and justify it in your own mind by saying, I just did my job. Well, congratulations, you're on big money, you're just doing your job, and you just deprived someone who needs some assistance to be independent. Now, up here through where I live in winter time, it often gets below -10 quite often. And being totally blind, I suffer with insomnia, which is not unusual for people who have no light perception. So I, wanted something that I could heat, a cup of Milo or a cup of coffee or whatever. But of course, they did their job, so that still deprived me of something I really needed. But I kept pushing for it, and I eventually got my talking microwave oven, which was really good. But of course, just after the warranty expired, the microwave stopped working. I wanted to send it back and get it repaired, but it was just too difficult, too expensive. So I never got it repaired or replaced. I'm not using anything. I'm just relying on other people, which is unfair because of that experience going to the tribunal. I just didn't want that hassle. When I was diagnosed with a tumor, I sort of coped with it, and I contracted multiple sclerosis. I tried to deal with it. I lost my sight. I tried to deal with it. Get to the tribunal, and I'm suffering with severe anxiety, like I'm sucking air into my lungs, like I'm drowning. And it wasn't until after 2 or 3 months after I'd finished with the tribunal that the anxieties, panic attacks, whatever you want to call them, actually stopped. And I can't see any person with a moral backbone doing that to another person. I really can't. I'm not surprised this has happened with the tribunal and the NDIA lawyers. Um, it's not good when you abuse your power and abuse your position and deprive people of something that they need. You're not just doing your job. You're morally and ethically, in my opinion, you're morally and ethically corrupt. That's just so outrageously bad, immoral. I just can't put it into words. Um, I hope they get rid of the tribunal. I really do. Um, my live stream with Christopher Widows, aka Steady Eddie, where he said, an oversight committee is needed. And I agree. We do need an oversight committee that's made up of people with different types of disabilities that can put themselves into other people's shoes, understand what they're going through, to keep the government and the NDIS in check. This tribunal is what happens when you allow an organisation to investigate itself. It just doesn't work. It's never worked in the past. It's not going to work now, and it's not going to work into the future. So get rid of the tribunal, bring in an oversight committee, let them deal with it. Last week we went through the executive board of the NDIS. The then CEO, who left a few months ago, his annual package was just over 760,000 a year. That's including super. The deputy CEO was on over 600,000, and the other members were around over 500,000. In my opinion, they don't deserve that sort of money. They really don't. You earn that sort of money when you do a good job, where the organisation is run as best as it can be, given its size. I also sent an email to Bill Shorten's ministerial email address, and also sent him an email through the NDIS system. And of course, what did he do? In that email I sent to him, I asked for a breakdown out of the $28 billion a year, how much goes to employing support workers, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, and other professionals? How much goes towards yard maintenance, home modifications, and how much goes towards adaptive technologies? Yeah, technologies that can assist people to be independent. That's all I wanted, just a breakdown of how much of that funding went to those three main areas, because those three main areas are, in my opinion, are the biggest costs. And I want to know how much of that 28 billion goes towards employing other people. It's going to be a huge whack. But I sent that email off, expecting a response within a few weeks, saying we got your email, we'll get the information. It won't be until early next year because of Christmas and the rest of it. But I got an email back saying from Bill Shorten, oh, we've referred your email off to the NDIS complaints department. It was not a complaint, it was a query. Now, for a federal minister to not know the difference between a query and a question and a complaint is fairly basic stuff. So I spoke to someone from the NDIS complaint and I said, look, this is not a complaint. I just had a query about how much money goes to employing other people, such as the NDIA staff, support workers, physios, OTs, etc. So the gentleman I spoke to, very nice person, said he would try and investigate it and get back to me as soon as possible. And I said, look, don't worry about it. Next year's fine. Coming up close to Christmas, everyone's winding down and taking it easy, getting ready for the break. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not expecting the information I've asked for. We had a quick look at it, and it's like the breakdown was like 143 pages. My support worker went through it, and yeah, he couldn't work it out. So we'll see what happens. But next year, I want to go into the tribunal a little bit further. So if anyone's had any dealings with the tribunal, contact me at blindadvocate007@gmail.com, or if you want me to cover a certain topic or any topic, send me an email at that email address and we'll do it. But next year, we're planning on talking to someone about parenting with a disability. I asked a lady for an interview and she said, yeah, not until early next year because I'm busy. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about sex workers for people with disabilities. Next year, we're looking into that and trying to organise some people to talk to interview as well. Also, if you want to have an interview, one-on-one interview, and talk about your story and been through and all that sort of stuff, talk about your disability, yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So please, talk about your disability, yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So please. Sorry, there's yeah, please contact me. I'd love to do a one-on-one interview with different people with different disabilities, just to educate the general public. I've had a few views on Cindy and Steve, but yeah. So if you've got a disability and you're willing to do an interview one-on-one, we can do it via Zoom. That would be really great if you could contact me. I don't know if there's anybody in chat.
No, I haven't got anyone in chat at the moment. Sorry, I was just putting through Facebook. That's why I got the echo there for a second. No, we don't have anyone looking to come up or anyone in chat at the moment.
Okay. All right, this is not going to be a long one today. Just wanted to touch on the tribunal issue. It should be disbanded. An oversight committee should be put in. We'll talk about that again next year. But I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And hopefully next year will be better than this year. For me personally, this has been another crappy ass year. It's been quite difficult at times. But yeah, people with disabilities, that's just the way of our lives, I suppose. It's harder than what other people go through. Sometimes it's really hard just to get your head off the pillow in the morning. I know I struggle at times getting my head off that pillow, getting out and going through the motions for the rest of the day. It's not an easy thing at times, but we all have to do it, and we all get there. We all put one foot in front of the other and try and get through life as best as we can. So, yeah, we might end it here. There's nobody in chat or anything like that. We might just end it. It's all right. Well, everyone have a great Christmas, and I'll see you all in the first couple of weeks of January 23. Okay, thank you.